you ready to blow up the Bruins, Keefe?
I have been ready to blow up the Bruins, Jones. It is time. It is overdue, perhaps. But, no time like the present. Are they going to pull themselves out of this?
No.
Make the playoffs and go on a run in the playoffs? Who sees that? Does anybody see that?
Well, Razor.
Yeah, of course.
Not me.
Razor's still going to win the cup, actually. I heard that yesterday. I was like, wait a minute, what? They're going to win the cup?
Yeah, what a stupid question. Time to blow up the Bees. Of course for you. You're ready to blow them up.
I'm ready to blow them up.
And I am as well.
Yeah.
Rough result last night for
I've
the
seen
Bees.
enough.
They get back into it 2-2 early in the third with Marchand in the penalty box. I think he spent the whole game in the penalty box last night, if I'm not mistaken.
He has been finding himself in there quite a bit.
It was 3 infractions, including one to start the period. Bruins even it up on a shorthanded goal, 2-2. And before you could even blink,
we had a game. I was like, oh, smokes.
Before you could even blink on the power play, 3-2, gets away from him in the third period, as it tends to do.
It's over.
Yeah.
And that is...
Fire Don Sweeney chants.
That
as
is
well.
how more
In
Fire
the
Don
building.
Sweeney chants in the building, a building where the Bruins have been playing well.
Well, that's
home.
the thing. They have been good at home. Like all these losses that were piling up were mostly road games. You're like, all right, they're getting points. Now, Winnipeg's a really good team. But still, so what did they get outscored this year?
In the 2 Winnipeg games?
Was it 14-3?
Yes.
All right, so they don't have it against Winnipeg.
It was 8-1.
I think it was 8-1 and now 6-2.
Yeah.
So they don't have it. It's not a good matchup for them, evidently.
That is not going to be a good cup final for them, should they get there.
Hopefully you avoid Winnipeg. Hopefully somebody else knocks
Yeah.
off Winnipeg.
When
Then
you're-
you skate to the cup.
When you're skating for the cup, you do not want to see Winnipeg out there when the Bruins get there.
Well, it's funny. So the trade deadline sounds like it's a long ways away, March 7th. You're like, they got a whole month. Although it is the shortest month of the year, Jones. Every year.
It's not a leap year?
Even when it is.
Good point.
Still shorter than every other month.
That's true.
But I think they have like 10, 11 games between now and the deadline. So even though it's over a month on the calendar, because they have the long break for the Four Nations Cup, that's like at least a 2-week break. So there's no NHL games. I know there's like a freeze and everything else, but trades are getting done around the league. So I don't really know what they're waiting for. Like, do they really think, they being like Sweeney, Neely, the Jacobs, like, do they really think like, no, we have it. We just need to get healthy, and we're gonna turn it around. I feel like it's enough of a sample. Like they have played. What was it? Was that their 53rd game last night? I think it was.
Yeah, it might even be
maybe more.
Might even be more. I mean,
maybe
they
more.
played more than every other team in the league.
That is true.
That is 53. You're right.
All right, so they've played 53 games. I feel like we've seen enough. They have issues. I think it's a combination of things. I still am more of they have underachieving players than they just have bad players. And I know that's what a lot of people are saying. We get more complaints about Sweeney and Neely than we do the actual players.
Well,
I
again,
personally think more guys are underachieving.
The crowd there last night was all over Sweeney. So
100%.
I think that's representative of how a lot of fans feel.
Yep.
But yeah, maybe it's their rosters, maybe not as good as we think, but
No,
the
probably
roster
not.
I don't think is a massive problem. The players are underachieving. And when I say a massive problem, they should be a playoff team with this roster is what I mean.
Yes.
Not the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Maybe not even sniffing Winnipeg. But they should be a playoff team with this roster. Anybody who thinks that's not the case is crazy. But I think the real issue's in the room, and you continue to see that over and over and over again with this team. Why are guys underachieving?
They're all good.
Why are guys underachieving? Because there's something going on there. Maybe, just maybe, it has to do with Swayman and his holdout. Players didn't like it. Marchand was all prickly about that contract way back when.
There was definitely a after effects to that. One, Swayman obviously didn't start the season really sharp himself, but I do think a lot of guys in there were kind of looking at him side-eyed. I mean, Marchand point blank said it to the public. He's like, you don't talk about contracts in the media or whatever. He's like, well, Swayman is.
He came out and said it. The former coach was shoving Marchand, benching Pastrnak. He got his ass fired, which again speaks to something going on in there with the players. And then on top of that, you have what I believe, what you believe, and I think a lot of people with a brain out there believe your report is right that there's something going on with Marchand and Pastrnak.
They get the head coach fired, and then he is hired the next day. So it's not like, oh, what an awful coach he is. It's like, nope, he was the scapegoat. And for a minute, it looked like they maybe turned it around. I think it had more to do with the schedule. It was like it was good timing for Joe Sacco to take over the job then, because you're like, hey, maybe things are going all right. And then you start to face some other competition. You hit the road and all that, and then you kind of come crashing back down to earth. And, mathematically, they're still in the playoff race and all of that. But I think if you want to plan this thing ahead, like they wake up today, not only outside of the playoffs, but to your point, everybody else has played fewer games. So even if those teams lose those 2 or 3 extra games, you're out of it. Let alone if they win or even just get loser points, like they're going to start to really distance themselves.
You're already trailing them, and once the games start to level out, the game's out of hand.
Out of hand.
Come back to bite the Bruins. That's going to be a problem. Clappy Cheeks 10, Keefe.
One of the good Twitch listeners.
You can check out the full chat on Twitch.
Yeah.
But Clappy Cheeks 10, I definitely believe they're more underachieving than just not overall talented enough.
That's me. I agree with that as well.
I do too. But now, so answer the next part of the question. We just did. But ask yourself that. If you're like Clappy Cheeks 10 out there.
Sure. And many of you might be.
You might be.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, if you think they're underachieving, they are.
Mm-hmm.
If you think they're underachieving, ask yourself why. Everybody just randomly is having a bad year? I mean, I guess that's possible. That doesn't seem likely. That's not probable to me.
Maybe a bad captain?
Yeah, well,
I said maybe. I don't know what it is.
Me.
Yeah.
That's my guy, Brad Marchand. How dare you?
You love him.
But why are they underachieving?
There's something going on in the dressing room.
Isn't that the simplest answer?
I would think so.
I mean,
they didn't all forget how to play.
I don't know it to be right. I believe you, but I'm not in there. I guess I don't know. But if you're asking me to figure out why everybody on the team is underachieving, even Pasternak, who's picked up his play, he's still underachieving as a whole this year. Why are they all underachieving? Because something's off with the team. Why'd they fire their coach? Because something's going on within the team. It's not just a bad roster. The roster might not be as good as me and Keefe believe it to be.
But it's one of the 8 best rosters in the Eastern Conference.
It should be a playoff team.
Yeah, thank you.
That's Joe Sacco every day.
Does he want to just like not show up? Maybe?
This is kind of what I do some days when I get home from work. I sit in my car by myself, and I just do one of those before I walk back into my house. I'm like,
it's like time
to deal with whatever's going on in here.
That's Sam.
You don't know what you're walking into.
That was the text line one more time to the Bruins, actually.
Sam.
A texter said that to the Bruins, which I agree with.
Leash.
So you can jump in all day long here on Jones and Keefe. We're not just going to talk Bruins today, but a lot of Bruins on the show. 617-779-7937. That's the text number as well. You can interact Twitter and Instagram at Jones and Keefe. Follow along, twitch.tv/Boston WEEI. You can watch there. You can chat with Clappy Cheeks 10 there. And you can watch on YouTube. Just subscribe to WEEI. Again, it is Jones and the wrongfully accused Rich Keefe. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm happy you've lawyered up over there.
Yeah, because it was really the same week where Brad Marchand called for my job, and then Courtney Cox essentially called for my job. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but was
that's basically what she did, though.
Throwing around a lot of accusations. And long story short, I have obtained legal representation. So next week, Alan Jackson, who represents Karen Reed and others,
the country artist.
No, the defense attorney.
Oh, okay.
The world-renowned defense attorney.
Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, I think.
Different guy.
Yeah.
2 Alan Jacksons, both great in their own right.
Okay.
So representing Karen Reed as well as many others, and now add my name to the list. So we're going to finally get to the bottom of this energy drink fiasco.
I
might even countersue for defamation. I'm not sure yet. We're just going to see how this goes. I can't say too much, as you can imagine, Jones.
Yeah, I don't want to pry. I don't want
I
to
really can't
expose anything in the case.
So next Wednesday,
any legal I don't even want to call them legal tactics, just facts that will be brought to the table by a professional lawyer.
So on Wednesday, a professional lawyer is going to speak on my behalf. He's going to question Courtney Cox.
Yeah.
The plaintiff.
Yeah,
because I'm the defendant.
Yeah.
So somebody in the Twitch chat is asking, "Am I suing?" No, not yet.
Right.
But we shall see.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what goes on with the criminal case, and then maybe we'll take this to civil court.
And then I want you guys as well, because obviously I'm very much tied into it. But you guys as well. I think Greg, Wiggy, Shime, and Curtis might be like the judge, and sort of like
the jury,
or maybe the jury. Well, I know, but they're also going to be the. I don't know who the judge is.
Good point.
But they're going to hear the case.
I'd let Jackson be the judge.
Maybe Jackson will be.
Judge Jackson.
Get him in a little gown.
That actually might already be a show.
Judge Jackson.
Sounds like a show.
Yeah, it could be. It's Judge. Judge Reinhold.
My name is Judge.
Yeah. But anyway, that's on Wednesday, so I think finally put this to bed. Right? We can end it once and for all. I still get chirped about it here and there.
I'd hope.
Yeah.
Well, so that's good to know. The wrongfully accused Rich Keefe. Here on Jones and Keefe today.
I'm glad you see it that way.
We're going to get to the bottom of it. Look, you're innocent until proven guilty in this country.
Thank you.
I respect our legal system here in this great country of ours.
Sadly, Jones, many cases it's the opposite.
It is.
You're guilty until proven innocent.
Not to lump you in with this individual, but I heard Jabril Peppers whining about this very thing. And so,
although, it ended up, he ended up being on the right side of it, right?
Well,
Peppers?
Yeah.
Seemed like it.
Yeah.
Juju Smith-Schuster as well, also involved. Playing in Super Bowls, being in love triangles. A lot going on in that case.
That is true. Yeah. So you can jump in here all day long on the Bees. Let me ask what might sound like, on its surface, Keefe, an odd question.
Please.
I think we all agree. You and I know, agree. I think most of you out there agree with this as well. Let me know if I'm wrong. I think we all agree that a move would be best for the Bruins on some level.
Yeah.
Is it crazy to think about the Bruins buying as opposed to blowing it up, as we framed it off the top of the show, selling Marchand, Frederick, Morgan Geekie, players like this? Like, I don't even know what you have that people would want.
Yeah.
Is it crazy to look at it the other way and say, okay, they are not that far out of the playoffs? Is it crazy to think about this team is buying? If we can all agree they need to make a move, is it crazy to consider buying?
So if you're buying, I guess, what are you giving up in order to buy? Is it once again take our first-round pick, and then once again we can have the worst minor league depth chart or the worst prospect pool in all of hockey because we're taking another run at it? Like, there are plenty of years to make a run at it, and the Bruins have done it for the most part. Like, one thing you can say about Don Sweeney, and I know he's not the most popular guy in the world right now, but look back at recent trade deadlines.
He's done well.
He's been aggressive and usually done pretty well. Now, some of those guys, were rentals and they were good and then they were gone and you're like, you didn't win it. And, there goes Tyler Bertuzzi or Snarls or all these other guys. But I think he's been pretty aggressive and he's been pretty good. But then when you wonder why you don't have a lot of great young talent and you don't have a pipeline coming up, that's one of the main reasons. So I personally don't think this team is good enough to buy. But to your point, I mean, you are 1 point out of a playoff spot. So, I mean, in years past, the Red Sox have been in a similar spot. And we've been sort of screaming, like, at least pick a direction.
Right.
At least pick one.
Yeah,
like, I don't want
ride it
out
with this crappy team and miss the playoffs by a point and not sell for assets or buy to get into the playoffs. Don't do that.
So I guess that's where I would come down is, like, I think they should sell. I think they should try to blow it up the best they can and, like, retool. Retool actually is better than blow up. Retool is what Cam Neely said.
Yes.
But I'd go that, then I guess buy, then that weird middle ground where you don't really you make like a one minor move. Like, what's the point of making one minor move? Like, this is a good opportunity to really make a change.
It's important for them to pick a lane. I totally agree with that. Meanwhile, one name that comes up a lot, I know some people don't even want to be asked about. I mean, don't even think about asking certain people about trading this individual. It's insulting to even ask.
Can't do it.
But Brad Marchand, your name is out there in the news about getting dealt. He was asked about those trade rumors after the game. I think how was Greg referring to him this morning?
I think Sad Marchand.
Sad Marchand is how he was referring to him. Let's hear from Marshy.
I'm not really worried about what's being said in the media. At the end of the day, like I said, they're going to make the decisions for the group that they feel is necessary. I have no control over that, so going to worry about what's going on here and playing for this group, and as long as I'm here, I'm Boston Bruins, that's what I'm worried about.
Doesn't sound like a guy who thinks he's sticking around.
Better rivalry right now, Marchand v. Media or Keefe v. Cox?
Oh, I think I'm going Keefe v. Cox.
Yeah. Better rivalry. But Marchand's steaming about it, though.
Right on their tail.
It is pretty, you know what I would use, Jones?
Yes.
Melancholy. Melancholy Marchand.
That's a good word.
He is having a little bit of a sad right now.
Sad Marchand is snappier, but it's good.
Snappier, thankfully, because his name's Brad. But if you like the alliteration that pops, it's Melancholy Marchand. But yeah, he's definitely having a little bit of sad. He's not going to worry about what's being said out there. But as much as some local guys might want to poo-poo the idea of trading Marchand, if you have somebody like Elliot Freeman suggesting that it could happen, like, that's something. Like,
call me crazy. I'd side with Elliot Friedman over every local reporter except for one Rich Keefe.
Thank you.
Other than that, I don't really know any of their track records out there and respect any of their track records. I'd side with Friedman, who thinks the Bruins could look at moving him.
Well, I still haven't gotten a good reason why it's crazy to trade him. Maybe you don't find, like, maybe you find out you're not really getting much for him and you don't want to just give him away. That's one thing. But if you're not a playoff team and you have a guy in his mid-30s who is not signed for next year, what's the reason to definitely hang on to him?
Yeah, so I feel that way. And by the way, Marchand is like, it's just up to them, whatever they decide. He's got a no movement clause for 8 teams.
I was going to say, yeah, it's limited. It's 8.
So that to me caught my ear too. He's like, well, it's just up to them and whatever they decide. Like, I just work here basically.
Has somebody asked him yet, would he waive his no trade clause?
Good question. Probably not.
No. Because it's so crazy to even suggest that he would be traded.
Let me ask you a question. Does anybody down there do their jobs?
No.
And so, I would imagine that no one's asked about him waiving his no movement clause.
Most likely not, no.
It's a modified no trade clause, 8 teams on the list. So that's a weird answer for a guy who has a lot of control over his situation, as most of them do on the Bruins.
Yeah.
That's an odd answer.